Good
Hello.
to see you. All right, so we're going to talk today about why your shoulder hurts. So what kind of shoulder things, I have my notes, which we're going to make it all come together. But I'd like to hear a little bit from you. So what are you experiencing, and what kind of stuff have you been trying? And yeah, all I would ask is those of you who have background noise, please put yourself on mute. And those of you who would like to speak, you could always take yourself off of mute. But just to make sure that we don't, because the background noise can get really difficult. Anybody want to have questions or what they are experiencing?
Sure. This is Kelly. My issue is I was just diagnosed with a degenerative shoulder and it is partially frozen.
What do you experience physically?
I can't lift my left arm above my shoulder. Can't take cups out of the second shelf in my kitchen. I can't put my bra on by myself very easily. Dressing,
How long has
bathing,
that been
washing.
going on? Can you point to some of the parts of the body that hurt?
Yep, right here. This upper part here, shoulder, and just decreased range of motion. It started in January. I was doing just general shoulder stretching exercises, and then by March, my range of motion got significantly worse, and April even more.
So you were doing shoulder exercises.
And then I started PT after 2 months.
You started noticing it after the shoulder exercises?
No, I think that I've had inflammation in my shoulder before in the bursa. That's only one of the things they said. So it got worse, not because of the exercise I was doing, because it was gentle exercises that were recommended by a PT, but because it just got worse and then probably went into frozen mode.
That's a good description. Does anybody else relate to that? Do you have something different that you're experiencing?
This is Kat. I had a similar experience, even though I don't have a degenerated shoulder, but all her symptoms I had after a car wreck where, and what I did was I got tremendous deep massage, and within 2 hours, after 6 months of being that debilitated, nothing broken or torn or anything, just shook. I got hit at 50 miles an hour from the rear during a rainstorm. And basically, I could lift my arm and put my bra on for the first time in 6 months. But it was very deep work in my back and shoulder in the muscles. But it was not diagnosed degenerative. But I did have the same symptoms and totally recovered after the deep therapy of massage. That was when I was 50. Now I'm 80, and now the balls do the trick for me. Because I have scoliosis upper and lower. Thank God for all Elaine has done with the balls teaching us.
Thank you, Kat.
So I have no drugs, no doctors, and I'm 80 years old. Isn't that amazing? I do it all naturally.
Anybody else?
Well, I'll just say that I have sort of garden variety stiffness from sitting a lot and not really doing much in the way of exercise to keep my shoulders not so stiff. And when it's particularly when I like move my head that I feel a lot of tension, and it doesn't move so easily.
Yeah, turning the head. Does anybody else experience that? Turning the head it tells you everything about what we're gonna go over today. I mean, if you turn your head, do you feel like your shoulders kind of tighten up? Well, one of the things is just in general, the way people, when they have something like this, and it's been, kind of decades in the making, especially the way people manage things, is we tend to focus on the part that's the problem. And that is just you have that's the furthest from the truth. I had a leak in my roof once and they couldn't figure it out. Oddly enough, it turned out to be something from the foundation of there was some kind of flitch plate that they didn't put in. So right? Your body, the things that are going on in the shoulder really have to do with a lot of other parts of the body. That's why a lot of times, you know, I really can't comment on surgery, and stuff like that, just because it's really not my place to do that. There's a lot of options, there are things like with treatments you can go for, and massage and exercise and all of that stuff. But why is it that exercise, like certain exercises, work for some people and not for other people? And I think it's because the way people do exercise is it's very based on their own experience with their body. So there's certain basic fundamental principles of your body that we're going to go over today. Just a couple of them. Because basically, if you don't address one or two of these things, which we're going to go over today, pretty much you're stuck, just isolated on that sort of old kind of archaic way of treating injuries, as if it's like, oh yeah, let me just take that car part out and put another part in. And like I said, I can't really address that because, I worked in hospital for years and I don't really comment on that. My feeling is if you feel better, do what you need to do. But I just do know how the body works. And the body is not a car or a machine. It's connected to this whole electrical highway that you're existing in right now. It's not imaginary. You don't have your arm sitting on a table over there and your leg up in a bedroom. It's all connected by this neurological system that all connects. My best, and I just love saying this, and I know if I repeat myself, it's just something that I'm really good at, is repeating myself, is one of my best analogies of how the muscles work over your body. Did anybody ever wear like a spandex jumpsuit? Most people haven't, but I'm just saying. Or in the old days, do you remember? I'm not saying any of you are old, but I do remember. I don't know if people wear pantyhose anymore, although I did wear Spanx at my daughter's wedding. That was interesting. I don't think it's the same, but the old nylons, when you used to pull them up on your legs, and then they would get like all twisted around, and then you go up over here, and that's the way muscles are. If you're wearing something elastic and you reach your arm, you're going to feel it all the way down here. So the problem is that when we're just focused on the arm, you're not using your jumpsuit. You're just reaching your arm, so it's going to hurt. Because eventually your body doesn't adjust. Like as a child, you go to bed, you wake up, everything feels good again, right? That kind of thing. Your nervous system is, as a child, small child, always trying to make adjustments. But if you've got an ace bandage wrapped around you, as opposed to that elasticity, then you're going to be stuck. So you're going to go to reach your arm and you're going to go, oh my God, I can't. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse. So why does it get worse? Your body can't send you an email. It's the only way I can tell you, got to change what you're doing. So your connectivity, the way your parts connect, is based on two fundamental things that you cannot ignore. And one is that your breathing reflects how you move. Oh, I breathe, I do yoga. Okay, good. I'm really not making fun of you, although if I could tell you how many times people have said to me, I breathe, I'm a really good breather. I'm not trying to say you're not a good breather or you're a bad breather. I'm saying your breathing will give your body the connectivity. That's its job. Its job is to make your muscles more elastic as opposed to stuck. So you can do 5,000 exercises, million exercises, and go, how come I'm not better? Because without that connectivity, without that feeling of elasticity, you can't move your arm. Because what moves my arm is that, bodysuit in the rest of the body. That's what moves your arm. It's not your arm. If it were, I wouldn't be here. What brings your arm up has nothing to do with your arm or shoulder. So let me get more deep, right? These things are very simple. Have a piece of paper, right? See this paper? Let's just think of this joint here, like your shoulder joint, right? It's just, you fold this piece of paper, right? When you reach your arm or you go forward, right? It's kind of a hinge, a joint, got a lot more range of motion than this piece of paper. But that's another story, just that makes it more fun. When I fold this piece of paper, there's one side, right? Think of a book binding. There's one side, there's the other side, there's the binding, right? You have the arm, you have the binding, let's say in the middle, but this whole part here, the other side, which creates the joint. That's what creates the joint. Not one side of this piece of paper creates the crease. Both sides create the crease. You reach your arm up. What allows your arm to go up is what's on the other side of the joint, not just the arm. It's what's going on in your torso. So we need that sense of feeling in the body. The body is not just intellectual, it's intuitive. Your body learns. Nobody gave you an anatomy book when you learned to walk. You figured it out, right? There's all kinds of different ways that little children learn to walk. They try things. And when people age and starts very young, they train themselves, because nobody teaches this, or most people don't teach this. You train yourself to move less and less parts of your body. That's just the way the instrument is. You either have a familiarity with getting a sense of your physical body because you breathe. It's the only way you can have that. But if your breathing is trapped within the physical body, as most people are, especially if they have any kind of chronic pain or stiffness or wearing that tight bandage around their rib cage, their body is going to constantly complain. So, anybody have any questions about that before we move on? Does any of that make sense? Or Gretel, did you say something, or you were just agreeing? Okay. Anybody else? Because I want to feel like when you leave here, you have a sense of what you can do. It's very counterintuitive to what you're taught. So I want you to have a sense of two things that you would be focusing on One is the sense of your breathing, and the other is sense of the feeling of your physical body. Two very different things that when they blend, create freedom of movement. Let's start with something to get that, okay? So most of you are sitting, looks like. Okay? Here's something I do every day, and mostly with everybody I teach. This is going to be on the test. So remember I said you reach your arm. It's not just your arm. It's not just your shoulder. Your shoulder is the joint that connects you to another part. All right. So the first thing you want to do is just get a basic sense of sort of what you do feel. Because again, you don't have problems moving. You have problems feeling. Right? Once your body feels, your brain will start operating your body a little differently. So anybody want to say anything they notice about their physical sitting? How would you describe it? Anybody? What stands
Lots of
out to
stiff,
you? Huh? Go ahead.
lots of stiff muscles.
Yeah, so the way the nervous system works, and that's my job, is to kind of help you with that. You need to be, all of you, as specific as possible. Because again, you're communicating now something new to your brain. There's only two options, and you want to become familiar with both. The two options are what I first asked you, which is, what do you notice? Get specific so that you really have a sense of how you hold all your parts together, right? So what stands out? Now, tension, that elasticity, that rubber band, those nylons, those spandex going throughout your body can go like volume on a television. You can turn it up really loud and your tension can get so tight that all of a sudden, that's some of the worst kind of tension, because sometimes it gets so tight, it gets painful, but it also loses feeling because it's just constantly like you got the rubber band and you just stretched it and that's it. And it can't really go any further or it's going to hurt, right? Which is, again, your body giving you good information. So, again, anybody else have anything they notice about the way they're sitting? Anybody feel their breathing? It's not a trick question, but I understand a lot of you are on mute. But when you do this on your own, you want to be more specific. What's tight? What's forward? What's back? You're describing a physical object. Let's just take the emotion out of it. You have all these parts. So one of the things with shoulders, the big part is your torso. We're going to start with tapping. Okay. You're going to cup your hand as if you were just collecting water under a faucet, right? Like you're just going like that. You have a tight, excuse me, you have a tighter side. You're going to start on that side. One side of the sternum, above the breast, below the clavicle. Your hand is cupped and you're just tapping. You're not tapping on your neck. You're tapping on the upper corner of your torso for about 15 or 20 seconds, right? Yeah, try to be clear. You're using one hand above the breast, below the clavicle, to one side of the sternum in a circular motion. You're kind of bouncing off that area. When you put your hand down, just bring your attention to the feeling of that area and notice anything different about those two things again. The feeling of your breathing, the feeling of that area of your body.
just like it opened up.
Okay, so you noticed some change. So again, so that was in the physical muscles, any change in your breathing. So say you say, nah, I don't notice anything. That's okay. That means you gave your body a chance to respond. When you're ready, you're going to go back to that same area. Don't jump to the other side. Right? You're going to go in a circular motion. Even while you're tapping, you might notice your breathing. Anybody not breathing?
I think my breathing got deeper.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's the way your brain ends up feeling a part of the body that is incredibly responsible, probably 90% responsible for shoulder issues. So again, let's just stay and hang in there. All right, so anybody having trouble sitting or feel, anything, because I could address all of it while everybody's just staying. You're going to tap on your own, stop time.
So a combination, I noticed, of course, core is a problem, but that's a whole separate conversation. But hip flexors, where the hip meets the torso, and then posture just makes it all, I don't find myself sitting up straight like I used to.
You will. Yeah, but that's a whole nother that's not addressing. When you do this on your own, your mind is going to waffle between what I want and where I am. Okay. And what we want, it's natural. Oh, I want to do this, that, and yeah, and you'll do all of it. But as long as you have the straitjacket on, you could call that, a real pain in the butt. You can't move when the straitjacket's on. That doesn't mean I'm asking you to relax. There's two principles. You will need oxygen in your muscles, and you'll need to feel your physical body. This is your physical body. The emotional side of it, that's another issue. Bodies really are responsive to that. Sometimes that can lead you down a road where it gets more complicated. So let's say you do this a little bit and you go, okay, I can't do that anymore. I'm starting to get tired sitting, or my back is starting to hurt, or whatever. Just let your body bend forward. Just kind of let the whole body just bend at the hip and just hang forward. All right, yeah, that's good, perfect. And notice, all right, you can bend at the top of the leg. Good, very nice. And then notice what that side feels like. Beautiful. And when you come up, excellent, come all the way up. Yeah, okay, so yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a teacher and I'm really, I've really never thought of myself as a teacher, but I'm ready to get the stick out, okay? Because you guys are doing really well. So when you come up, the only thing is now you're up. Do you notice anything different about your sitting or kind of how you did it? Because that's how you're going to be able to figure this out. Oh, look, right? You didn't just crumble it all up. A lot of you did, right? A lot of you just crumbled it all up and came up. You kind of need to know that. All right, hang over again. Give in to gravity. Anybody notice they stop breathing? Anybody know what I mean by feeling the weight and giving in to gravity? When you come up, you're lifting the weight of your body up. Do you feel any different parts of your body that you didn't feel before? And does your breathing change? So we're moving the physical body and noticing the feeling of your breathing. I didn't even ask you to do anything with your breathing or to sit a certain way. I didn't even ask you to do that. I'm just asking you to take notice of kind of how you do things. All right, so now we're just going to come up. And again, we're going to tap the top of the shoulder. So you're going to use that same little cupped hand. You're going to be on the same side. you're going to tap the top of the shoulder. Notice my arm is hanging. I'm not holding it out here like this. Notice I'm not doing that. I'm just letting my hand rest on my thigh. My upper arm is hanging. I'm reaching the other hand to the top of the shoulder. Yep, just kind of notice that. Yep, let your upper arm hang. Let your shoulder rest. You can even use your fingertips into any hollowness you might have above that clavicle. When you're ready, put your hand down, and again, notice the feeling of the shoulder. Notice the feeling of that side. Maybe you notice something different about your breathing or your sitting. It's not the tapping that changes your body. Just like it's not the exercise that changes your body. It's the feeling of the physical body, which is what is going to get more profound, because it's not hard, it's just not addressed. So notice anything different about the feeling of the weight of that shoulder, the distance of that side maybe from your earlobe, the top of the shoulder compared to the other side. Anybody feel that there's a longer distance? Just raise your hands since you're all like being so quiet. Yeah. Okay. Anybody feel? Yeah, we'll tap it again because that was only one time. It's so fun. I'm really like the most impatient person in the world. And I keep thinking, you know, especially, you know, at this point in my life, I'm wondering like, I'm the least likely person to teach something like this, except that it gets me so, it's so simple. So now after you tap the second time, just notice again the feeling. So it's the feeling of the physical body, which you can't fake that. We tried. It's not an intellectual picture. The weight of that shoulder as it rests, is it any further from your ear than the other side? You could raise your hand if it's yes. Okay. Okay, so how do I say this? All right, so all right, so just turn your head to that side slowly. And then turn it to the other side. So I folded the piece of paper in half, right? And in order to feel like the shoulder joint, right, what's under it, we're tapping where your shoulder rests, right? The reason it rests on something is so that it can connect to that next part. Your next part is that upper thoracic, that rib cage, which absorbs the strain of the shoulder. All right, so as you turn your head, does anybody feel like maybe it turns a little different to the side you were tapping? You have to make sure when you tap that you're not doing this. All right, that's right. The shoulder is resting on something. Yes, yawning is a really excellent breathing response. That means you're starting to suck in a lot of oxygen. So don't hold back on that. I'll tap the top of the shoulder one more time. So I asked you how, you know, anything different about the feeling of the shoulder in relation to that feeling of your ear on that side, but also the feeling of that shoulder in relation to your hip on that side. Just anything about that feeling of distance there. And then we're going to move the elbow a little bit aside, right? So again, notice where my upper arm is, and some of you, the upper arm is out here. Let the upper arm hang. Now we're going to tap the side of the rib cage. You can move the elbow a little bit away. And now you're tapping the side of your rib cage. And just notice that whole side. And is there any change in where you feel you're breathing? Does it move into any different parts of your body? So again, that is not about breathing. It's about you getting the feeling of different parts of your body that you need to begin to move. Right? So did breathing move into any different parts of your body? Let your arm and shoulder hang. You're going to have to remember that. This is not where the arm would ever be naturally. That's called frozen shoulder. As you let your arm down, it'll allow the shoulder to come down. Bend forward again, hang over. Give in to gravity. Does that arm and shoulder, let your head hang a little more? Does that arm and shoulder hang a little bit different than the other side? And what do you notice about your breathing? Could you let your body get a little heavier?
The breathing is a little deeper.
What's that?
The breathing is a little deeper. It's going down into the lower part of the lungs near the diaphragm.
Okay. We jumped right over the rib cage. Okay.
Or under the edge of it.
Yeah, right. Well, sometimes you need a little help in learning where, it's a big rib cage. It's more than half your spine. And most of us very rarely feel that area of the body, but it's what your shoulder rests on. So it's an important word to start getting in your vocabulary, just to start noticing. So anybody else notice any change? That was a good observation. All right. All right, so again, you can move some of these parts of your body when you begin to feel them. That's usually what your body's begging for, is that it's not stuck. So the opposite of stuck would be to begin to engage your body, as you feel it. Yeah, exactly. You have to start trying things. All right, good. Well, let's do this. Let's lie down. And if you have a ball near you, keep it near you. And if you want to tilt your camera so I can see you, that's up to you. And we're just going to lie down on the floor. All right, so now when you're on the floor, it's, this is pretty user-friendly to be on the floor, right? See if the side you were tapping rests differently on the floor than the other side. Anybody feel like the more of the shoulder is touching the floor, or any difference in your breathing? So again, if you can't describe it, that's why I ask the questions. If you can't describe it, usually it's not having an impact on you. It's kind of, it's cool. Yeah, all right.
Elaine, I feel like more of my scapula is on the floor on the side we were tapping. And my breathing, my torso rib cage feels like it's expanding more when I breathe in.
Well, I love the fact that you mentioned rib cage. And I think we could be, especially because, like you said, you spend a lot of time, in that position of, anything at the computer or
Yeah.
sitting for periods of time. Most people, the head is forward, which means the ribs are going to get really tight and kind of contracted back. It's just laws of physics. One part's forward, another, right? Which means the shoulder is going to probably feel curled up off the floor. So beauty, as you said, that shoulder feels like it's resting on the floor more. So
Yeah.
that's a really good sign. But you also connected it to that elasticity of other parts, right? Which is really important because then your body can use those other parts. That's why we go through this little process that's like learning anything. you start noticing things. Can't do this stuff intellectually. All right. So now you're just very easily going to take one ball behind your head and neck and rest on that one ball. And just get that real easygoing sense of the weight of your head. Your head went up. Does it feel like any connection to the feeling of other parts resting down? So again, you have to ask yourself about these shifts of weight. You don't have to struggle with them. You're just noticing, like looking at scenery. If you keep the window closed and the shades pulled down, of course you're not going to see anything. And when you open the window, you might see a few things, and it might be enjoyable, it might not. And the more you kind of look, maybe you'll start noticing something that you didn't even think was there, right? You discover new things. Let your head ever so slowly, using the weight. Remember, you have to use the basics of the physical body, the weight and the breath, and let your head slowly turn. But as you do this, take notice if you observe any connections in other parts of your body. Anybody feel anything in another part of their body? All right, and then when you're ready, reach back, support the back of your head in one hand, quickly take the ball away with the other hand. So it's a big, heavy weight. Let the weight of your head back down. And notice again, is there any change in the feeling of your breathing or anything you notice in other parts of your body? So again, this is the experience of the physical body, how it works. It's not an intellectual thing, because your body knows how to move. It figured out how to stand up and sit and all that stuff. So go back on the ball, put the ball under the head and neck again, and just feel that shift of weight, what goes down, right? Feel the support there, and check out. A lot of us, when we're on the ball or even when we're, going through our day, we hold our breath. So again, the body would never stop breathing. That doesn't mean I want you to start working on breathing, but if you're not breathing, it means the eighth bandage is kind of tight. Okay, that's all it means. So once in a while, you can soften your jaw and just exhale on that open mouth a little bit. Just exhale, letting the jaw open. And just sense that feeling of where your breathing is. Does it move into some different parts of your rib cage? Do you let it? Because sometimes when we, like I said, the one kind of negative thing about muscles that have been kind of tight for a long time, and it can happen at any age, for many reasons, we kind of think we feel what's there. You don't feel what's there. That's the hardest part of my job, is asking you to feel what you don't feel. All you got to do is hang out a little bit more and be a little curious. Where does your breathing go to? And where do you maybe not let it go to? Maybe, does it go to the sides or the back or the upper torso, where a lot of us get those shoulder issues, right? A lot of the upper back is one of the tightest parts of the human anatomy. So take the ball away again. You feel any sense of change. It might be subtle. But again, you're just learning something. All right? Beautiful. All right, so let's just prove to ourselves a little bit that your body actually is that kind of elastic, spandex all over your body. by doing something with your lower body. So when you bend your knees and rest your feet on the floor, do you notice any changes up through the ribs, the back of your head, your neck? Anything switch?
Yes.
Bending the legs is, again, very unique to each of us. All right. So that's the other end of your body, your pelvis. Let's take the ball, roll your pelvis to the side, and place the ball in the middle back of your head. Do you notice any change in other parts? So you're going to take the ball from the back of your head and neck, put it in the back of your pelvis now, and rest on the ball. So one of the things that really becomes beneficial is allowing, sometimes that ace bandage to loosen, and you start noticing that the body becomes more responsive. Now, I'm always surprised, at the areas that, I start discovering and I start realizing, oh, wow, because movement is multi-layered. There's so much to it. So with your hips up, does anybody feel the rib cage go down? Any change between the shoulder blades? Every movement you do is going to change something, right? And when you're ready, we're going to do an even bigger movement for those of you that are comfortable with it. We're going to lift your feet off the floor and let your thighs fold into you. So you're still on the ball. And just notice that shift of weight. Don't brace yourself with your shoulders. Maybe just let maybe some of the back of your body get involved. Your ribs might stretch out. You might notice again that feeling of change in your breathing, and just rest like that. So we start to realize that the body starts giving us feedback all the time. What feels good? Maybe there's something your body's kind of getting a little clear, when it's fighting something, or when it's kind of letting the weight down, and maybe there's some natural adjustments that take place that you notice. And just if you want your thighs apart, you can gradually let your thighs open. Your pelvis is on the ball. And once in a while, just make a gentle exhalation. You could either do it with the S sound or the open mouth breathing. Because, we do tend to hold our breath. So that's that feeling, that physical feeling of your body, not an intellectual. Now, it might be a lot of feeling that doesn't make sense. Well, how do I hold this? Or I'm holding my breath, or that feels good, or, I don't know what's going on. It might be a lot of different things. Yeah, because it's a very amazing instrument, right? So you're in the game. When you're ready, again, shifts of weight. You're going to take your feet down one at a time. Roll the pelvis over to the side, quickly remove the ball. So it's big shifts of weight, stretch your legs back out. And is there any change now that you rest the weight of your body on the floor now, what your breathing is like? Did your breathing move into any different areas? Anybody? Did it move into the ribs at all? Feel it against the floor, into the lower belly. Where is the air? Because if the muscles begin to get a little more elasticity and not so much like that, ace bandage, the air will move through your body. That tells you whether or not, you're going to start feeling a new part, feeling something new. Let's try it under the pelvis again. So bend your knees and rest your feet on the floor. Is it different this time? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And place the ball in the middle back of your pelvis. Remember, just like me folding that piece of paper in half, your leg is that hinge. Lift your feet up off the floor. Feel the way it bends. Yeah. This is the way every one of you is doing something very unique of how you fold at the leg joint. And so just feel that, because what's going to happen is by you getting more noticeable about the way you do things, and oh yeah, I didn't realize my right hip bends different than my left. As you just start to notice these things, your brain is going to use that information. Without that, somebody can tell you over and over again, you know, why your knee hurts or whatever. But if you don't notice that you're rotating your thigh in, or you're holding your breath, or your ribs are kind of contracted down into, if you don't notice what you're doing, it's really hard to let your body take pressure off the joints, because it's holding positions as a whole, right? And then take your feet down one at a time. And you can push the ball a little further down the back of your pelvis and just stretch your legs out. And just breathe. That's it. Did that change the feeling of your ribs, your head, your arms, your shoulders? Sounds like a lot, but I'm sure you do much more complicated things in everyday life that you take for granted. This is just an unfamiliar one that you want to start getting that dialogue with your body. It doesn't work through thinking about it, right? You know, or asking yourself if you want to do it. You know, that's always, you know, a bad question to ask. Oh, do I feel like doing this? No, it just, you're always feeling your physical body. So you can do this. Roll your pelvis over to the side, take the ball away. Notice if you have any change in the feeling of your breathing. And you have to talk to yourself a bit. You have to allow yourself to go to that physical feeling of your breathing, which is muscular, right? That diaphragmatic muscle is, it's just the diaphragmatic muscle is just the pump. That's just pulling the breath in and moving the breath out. But where you let the air go starts to
enough space.
expand into different parts of your body, right? It starts to make you aware of feeling of different parts. All right, so roll over onto your side. And let's just come back up to sitting, and let's take notice if you're sitting any different, right? So be open-minded based on what you're feeling if your body sits different, all right? So don't start thinking about it, right? Just kind of feel it out, you know, because your body might go to a different place and you don't want to start editing it too much, right? And just notice anything at all that you might feel different. So remember that sense of the physical body. So start putting some language to it. Right? Oh, I feel this part is a little different. I wasn't using that before. Or my breathing, where is it? Anybody feel anything different?
Feel more flexibility in my hips, because my knees are not up as high like this.
Yeah.
They're down a little bit more.
Yeah, good, very good. And that will give you a lot of when you get change in one area, there's always a bit of a domino effect through other areas. And learn to let your arms rest once in a while. Keeping your elbows locked like that is going to lock your shoulders, right? Keeping the arms like this all the time, it's just a habit. You can let your hands rest wherever you want, but bend your elbows. Because otherwise you're locking your shoulders in position with a locked elbow. It's a habit. I've had millions of them, so does everybody. If it, you know, was helping you, then that's what we would do, but it's not. So now we're going to tap the other side. So you're going to cup that hand, tap above the breast, easy with the shoulder. Let the elbow bend. Feel the weight of the arm and tap in a circular motion. That upper corner of your torso to one side of the sternum. And then when you're done, just notice anything about how you're sitting and that feeling of your breathing. Is your breathing moving into any different parts of your body? Does your body find any balance over your sits bones? So remember, your sits bones, you can press each sits bone into the chair a little bit, one at a time. That's where your body, again, very important part, right? The feeling of the physical body. But if you don't feel that part of your body can't use it to help your shoulders, right? It can't work the whole body. So the more parts you kind of notice, it's not about holding good posture. I don't feel like I'm holding rigidly anything because I'm breathing and all parts are working. Now we're going to go to the top of the shoulder. And you just, right? So when you're tapping, make sure that shoulder is resting. It's not engaged. That might take some of you a while to feel that, right? If your elbow is straight, that means you've locked your shoulder. So bend your elbow. If you look at me from the side, my elbow is just hanging. That allows my shoulder to go off duty. Once you start locking your elbow, you're going to miss out on your torso, which is the missing link. That's a key area to how the shoulder rotates. It can't rotate without that movement of the torso. So this is giving you that feeling of where that area is. And then anytime you want, you can bend forward and just stretch it out just by using that sense of the whole. Hang over, give into gravity. Just let everything stretch. Let it hang, right? That's why the chair is sometimes good, because if your hips are too tight to bend over, go to the chair. Or you can just, again, try it a different time. But if you can't bend at your hips, what your body's going to do is tighten the shoulders more. And you come up using your pelvis, follow right through your rib cage. Diane, so you really use that upper part of your pectoral muscles.
I just felt that.
Yeah, the upper part of your pec, so you can allow your body not to be a crumpled up towel in the middle, which is very common. The whole upper body gets kind of pulled down. That's going to throw your shoulders forward. They can't rotate. So keep reminding yourself of that, right? It's just a great feeling because the shoulders just go back. But the ribs are not just lower ribs. They go way 16 vertebra. That's a huge, huge area of the body. And that's where your shoulders rest, right? And that's where breathing, just by doing a sense of softening the muscles around your thoracic, become responsive to what your body tells you. Once it starts to feel apart, usually it begins to start to maybe make some adjustments, right? Because it starts, again, I don't know how it works. I don't think anybody knows, how the nervous system works exactly. They just know it's connected. All right, so now we're going to move the side of the elbow and tap the side of your rib cage. Right, just get that sense of feeling that whole, both sides of your body, right? How far is that? Are the shoulders from your earlobes now? The feeling of the weight of the arms. So that's the physical body. The physical body is not imaginary. We experience weight of it so that we have feel. You don't have feeling of an imaginary part. It has weight. So sense both arms, right? And just start with one arm and raise one hand up as far as you comfortably can. Notice how many parts of your body are involved with that, and then just stretch the arm and let it come down. Right, that's it. And do the same thing with the other arm. Raise the other arm up. And then just stretch it out to the side. Are other parts of your body are involved, or was that just a shoulder movement? Is that all you felt? All right. That's it. Let's try it again with the original side. So again, when you move your arm, is it connected? Do you feel this other parts? What happens? Is anybody holding their breath when they move? All right. That's why we're doing it slowly, so you could kind of notice how you're doing it. Right? Your breathing is going to be your single most beneficial part to notice. Do you stop breathing when you move? I'm not asking you to breathe. I'm asking you to notice if you hold your breath. Did your rib cage, right, get involved? Let your arms and shoulders hang, and now just try both arms. What does your rib cage do? Does it get lengthened out? Right, yes, some of you are actually using your shoulders to move your arms. Your shoulders, because of rotation, they drop down into your back. And your ribs end up lifting up because it's connected. But if you do it this way, right, you've disconnected from your torso. When you raise your arms, the shoulder blade, that rotation drops back. That's why your breathing is the most important thing, because it gives you feeling. As soon as you even conceive of moving your arms in the way we're just doing it, your whole body is going to switch, because this is a very, very big part of the body. There's no way your arms and shoulders can rotate without, yes, that's very good, without what's under it. All right, so let's take a moment to get a sense of what your sitting feels like now, and the feeling of your breathing. And what do you notice different from when I first asked that question? Have you changed at all?
I'm more comfortable.
Yeah, try to be specific too, because then your brain, your body will be able to go back to it. So say what's different. So you start learning a vocabulary that your nervous is, because you're changing a lot of things. So you want to start without being too generalized. So go start again if you can.
So my muscles are more relaxed.
Which ones?
My leg muscles, my hip muscles.
Okay.
Yep.
And so just those two things I said in the beginning, the feeling of your breathing and the feeling of your physical body. You got the physical body response. Always include your breathing, because that's the one most of us don't include. Anybody else?
So I wasn't feeling breath in my lower, below my ribs. I had the ACE bandage on. And so now I feel breathing along my sides, and my back. I was sitting forward on my right sits bone was forward, and now I'm even on my sits bones.
Yeah, raising the arms up to the air. Now look, if your shoulders can't go there right in the beginning, I get that. I mean, this is just as beneficial going to shoulder level. Just going to shoulder level, it's all back. It's got nothing to do with shoulder. So if every time you do this movement, all you feel is your shoulders going up to the back of your head, that's okay. But You just disconnected from the rest of your body. That's why we keep redoing it. So every time you come down, what you're going to notice is if you really let the arms and shoulders rest. So come down, check out if the arms and shoulders rest. They're not really resting ever perfect, but you want to be in the game. Let them down. The easy part is going up, right? It's the coming down that people forget, because that's when the brain resets, right? And then when you're ready and you lift your arms up, I never said lift the shoulders up. You guys decided that. Yeah, some of you are doing it too fast. You're doing it intellectually. Oh, she said, lift up the arms. So you're just doing what you always do. That's your homework. Learn the difference of actually feeling what you do and deciding if it's beneficial or not. Because if you don't feel a change in your breathing, like what Barb just said, if you don't feel a change in your sitting, well, that's where I have to then say, oh yeah, I'm just doing it with that one part and straining, right? Well, we're going to stop there, but does anybody have any questions before we end? Is that you, Kat?
Yes, I see a total difference in Kelly Reynolds' posture in that shoulder that was looking drooped or more forward when we started. I've been taking pictures of all this, and it's amazing. I've seen changes in her shoulder. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I think that's why I keep asking you, which is, just what I do, to say the parts. Because otherwise it's kind of very blurry. You're not sure, what did I do? Where's and it's it's not, if you do this in every aspect of life, you get specific. Oh, just a half a cup of sugar, whatever, you specific. But with the body, we just kind of throw it. Oh, wow, it feels good. That's all I care about. It's not going to be sustainable because you have no directions. And when you start understanding that it's very responsive with directions, and one of the keys is whether or not you feel you're breathing. Oh, yeah, I'm breathing. You're not. I can guarantee you, if you have pain, that might be 10% of what you focus on. And I'm not talking about doing deep breathing exercises. I'm talking about relationship of the feeling of your breathing to your physical body. And that is very, very it's there for you. And if you don't feel it, it's because, you might be, the ace bandage might be a little tight. I've been there. I know. I've been there a few times in my life, having accidents. And then it's like, I got to start all over again. What I got to do? I know the directions, but anybody can have, and people do. But you have to start getting a little bit more clear that if you don't feel changes, because you're not doing the work, you're not feeling your breathing, and you're not having a way in of some kind of something you do every day that gives you that connection to your physical body. Because your physical body is not imaginary. It has basics that need to be included in your everyday life. So, well, I hope I've given some of that to you. And all right, well, we will stop there.
Great, Elaine, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine.
it's going to be
Thank
on
you,
the
Elaine.
website. So if anybody wants to share it, feel free to, tell them to go to the website.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Good day, everyone.